Hello. I hope you're having a really good day. Double Game Week 25 is upon us and we need to prepare appropriately for it. So today I have decided to make a tier list for the best targets that are having double ups in Game Week 25. We're going to talk about players from Liverpool, Manchester City, Luton, and Brentford, and we are going to rank them based on tiers from S to G. I hope you enjoyed such type of content. If you do, subscribe to the channel, give a like, write down a comment if you think I'm missing someone or you think someone else is much better than the anticipated players. But now let's dive into the tier list. As you can see, we've got around 30 people for the tier list, so we're going to process them alphabetically. We're not going to go through, let's say, first the Liverpool players, then Luton, and blah 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 blah. We're starting with a debut. We'll have in mind that some of those teams are going to blank in Game Week 26, and if you are not using your wildcard for Game Week 26 or your free hit, you have to take into consideration that they are blanking and consider that as a possible a no-go for transfers or a go for transfer. So we're starting with Adebayo. He's from Luton. Luton just conceded 3 goals against Sheffield, but he fell down for the penalty, so he was getting an assist, so another return for Adebayo. Luton are having a blank in Game Week 26, so that means that you need to find someone to replace him if you get him this week. The good thing is that he is such a low price that you won't miss him a lot if you are going to find a bench option or someone like that. You can just put him on the bench. The bad thing is that he's facing Liverpool and Manchester United, which is not a very high appeal for a player just for 2 fixtures to buy. So for sure he is an okay option, but he goes immediately into the B category. He is good, but the blank, the oppositions they're facing, the Luton quality of a team, it's in my opinion of a no-go. Next up is Nathan Ake. In my opinion, he is the best defender from Manchester City to invest right now. If you're looking for a double up from Manchester City and you believe in their defense, they've kept 2 clean sheets in the last 3 games, but they were against Everton and Sheffield, so it's not against the higher scoring teams. Teams like Brentford and Chelsea are much more attacking, so it can be difficult for them. Nathan Ake hasn't missed a minute since like 10 game weeks ago, while all the other players have missed something more or less. So I am considering him the best option in defense, and I'm putting him in A. For me, S should be a proper player that can for sure go into your side. Okay, it's not a player that should go for a must, if you have to say, but yeah, I pick him in A bracket. I believe that he can get you a lot of points for a reasonably cheap price, and he seems like a starting option. So I'm picking him. He can fill on the left back position, he can fill on the center back position, so he's all good. Next up is Alisson from Liverpool. He missed the win against Burnley with an illness, and he's most probably coming back for the future fixtures against Brentford and Luton. A bad thing for Alisson is that he is first very expensive, and second of all is a player that can play in Game Week 25, but then in 26 you have to have a backup goalkeeper, and yeah, most probably you have Areola or Dubravka or someone like that, so you are not missing a lot. But I believe there are some better options in defense for Liverpool and in goal, so I'm picking Alisson in C category. Julian Alvarez, with KDB being back, with Doku being back, with Grealish being back, with Foden, Bernardo Silva, Mateus Nunes, Haaland, Alvarez minutes may suffer. Yeah, he has been playing, but in my opinion, he isn't a player that we should be buying into. A lot of strikers are emerging, like Darwin, Tony, Adebayo, Haaland, Watkins, Cunha, and Pedro. Yet they are injured, so they are out. Solanke is having a double pretty soon. Doughty and Luton are having a double up, so that's a thing to consider as well. But for me, it's a no-go for Alvarez, so he is not the worst option, but for sure he is a player that I will put him in D as a transfer target, in my opinion. They are not blanking, but with so many strikers, I don't see anyone buying him right now. Next up is Ross Barkley. Ross Barkley has been amazing for Wootton in recent times, but he still is a Wootton player. He's not on penalties, he's not on anything. He's playing more of a midfield role, like distributing the ball, not like Szoboszlai from Liverpool, basically. But yeah, I wouldn't consider him that highly, and with so many important midfielders and with so many things happening right now and the blank, I'll consider him a bad transfer option. He's worse transfer option than Alvarez for sure. Next up is Darwin Núñez. Darwin has been the chaos in the Liverpool squad, and that has been an okay thing. He can score between 0 and 5 goals per game, but it's most probably going to hit the woodwork between 2 and 5 times. So yeah, it's funny to own Darwin Núñez. There is an appeal for him to have been bought in Gameweek 24. For 25, I'm not so sure that I would be so interested, especially with the Gameweek 26 blank, and you have to take care of him. So I'm putting him in lower A position, not because that he is not a good player, but how to say it, you need to find replacement just around the corner, which is never a good thing to buy player for only 1 week, knowing that you have to replace him. So I wouldn't consider him a top transfer priority. Next up is Connor Bradley. Here I'm a little bit divided. If Trent is injured, Bradley becomes the number 1 spot for the right back position. Even if Trent is fit, Bradley can operate in one of those 2 games as a right back, and it can be a good thing. On the other hand, as already mentioned, they're having a blank in Gameweek 26, and you need your players, because if you own players from Spurs or Chelsea in defense, you need to find solutions. If you own Doughty as well, so I wouldn't consider him a top priority target, but a C position above Alisson, in my opinion, is a good thing. Next up on the tier list is going to be Doku. Jeremy Doku has been a pretty good player for City, direct, attacking a lot of positions, doing pretty well. But he's not their best player, let's be honest. We have way more players that we can invest in. So I would not consider him ahead of Foden, Grealish, Alvarez even. So no, not Alvarez, because he's a left winger, while I'm going to put him in the C section, because a lot of players are getting ahead of him right now, and I don't see him as the highest potential from the City players, especially in those difficult games. Next up is Luis Diaz. He has been in pretty good form in recent times, but he hasn't been their most amazing player. He's performing well, but he isn't as lethal as Darwin or as Jota, so I wouldn't consider him as highly as a pick. Maybe if Salah is back, he can be for sure starting at the left wing position, but no one can say you anything about that, so I'm putting him in B, and it's below Adebayo for me. Next up is Flecken for Brentford. Brentford are playing Liverpool and City. I cannot think of a harder schedule, and I don't see myself getting him, so, and anyone getting him, so I'm putting him at the bottom of the table, basically, of the chart, as I don't think he's a good option for Gameweek 25. Next up is Erling Haaland, and he immediately goes into S section. If you don't own him, get him. I don't think it's a reason to stay away from him. He's going to be triple captain so often. Like in Game Week 28, we have a Solanke double up, but I don't think in a million years anyone is going to pick Solanke over Haaland as a triple captain. This is one of the best times to triple captain, as this is a free City double game week, 2 home fixtures, and they're lethal at home. No matter who the opponents are, they had a pretty amazing game against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and they played really well against Brentford. I know Haaland hasn't scored against Brentford yet in his career. I believe this is the only team that he haven't done so, but I believe this time is coming pretty soon, and I would be not betting against Erling Haaland. Next up is Doughty. Doughty is an interesting case. He's in every set piece involved, in every attack for Wootton. He's just amazing. But with 2 difficult fixtures and with a blank, I don't see him as a hard go. So I'm putting him in the C department, a top of C department, but No, below Doku. Doku is just better. Next up is Phil Foden. Phil Foden can play on the left wing. He can play centrally. He can play on the right. He can play as a false 9 type of player. So Foden is a pretty amazing pick. He can be lethal, as already shown against Brentford. He scored a hat-trick there. So he's doing pretty well. I would consider him a great transfer target, but not as good as Erling Haaland. So I am putting him in A department. Next up is Diogo Jota. Diogo Jota has been an amazing player for Liverpool. He has scored a lot of goals in Salah's absence, and he can continue doing so. In my opinion, he is an S tier type of player, but with that blank in Gameweek 26, that hurts them a lot. I know this is a transfer target for Gameweek 25, but we cannot ignore Gameweek 26. Like, you can get a good player for 25, and if you suffer then in 26, I don't see it's worth it, especially if your double up player doesn't pay out. So I will put him at the same place as Darwin Núñez. I believe they're both amazing, but I don't see anyone right now buying them, just only for that double, because it's going to be too risky of a transfer to do. Next up is Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne has been a pretty goddamn player, because he's scoring and assisting a lot, and with Haaland back, KDB's potential is rising through the roof. So if you are looking for a very expensive midfielder for the double up, and he's having his rest, he had his rest against Everton, like 55 minutes he was rested. I believe that he starts both in the double up, and if you're looking for a midfielder, KDB is your guy for that double up. I don't see anyone better at the moment, so I'm putting KDB there. Next up is Neo Maupay. I know that he has a good partnership with Tony, but he's the far lesser of a player than Tony, so I'm putting him in a G position, and it's below Flecken. I don't see anyone buying other Brentford striker than Tony, so I wouldn't select Maupay as an option, sorry for that. Next up is Ederson. For me, Ederson is the only nailed player for Manchester City. The bad thing for him that he's a goalkeeper and he's not making a lot of saves. So if they do not get the clean sheet, you're going to get hurt a lot by Ederson. So I'm putting him in C, even top of C, because he is Manchester City's most nailed player. But let's be real, we are not picking a player of his caliber. Just for the clean sheets and of his price, we need those save points, and he is not getting them. So I would most probably steer away from Ederson. If I'm not on a free hit or anything, it's not worth to buy him. Next up is Ben Mee. With those difficult fixtures, yeah, he has an attacking potential, but it nullifies with the save potential that Flecken has. So he is down below in the D section. I know that Brentford players are only getting into the D section, but I believe the rest of the players are just far better. That doesn't mean that those players aren't good, but they are not as good as the rest of the team, of the selected players, sorry. Next up is Carlton Morris. He is the penalty taker for Luton, but he is not as nailed as Adebayo. Yeah, he has been getting pretty regular playing time in recent times, but I find him as the same as Adebayo, so I'm putting him here just around that selection. Next up is Andy Robertson. Andy Robertson has returned from a serious injury, but so has Tsimikas, so maybe Robertson is rested at some point. I don't know, but I don't see him as a worth of investment, especially with his high price tag. I'm putting him below Alisson even, so yeah, I wouldn't consider getting him at the moment. Next up is Joshua Guardiola. He got rested against Everton, and I believe that's going to be his final benching for a while, and he's going to play a lot of minutes in the next couple of game weeks, so he is a good transfer. He doesn't seem as nailed as Ake, so I'm not putting him as high as that, but in a B section above Ederson, I believe this is the rightful place for him. John Stones has returned from serious injury as well. He can play in midfield, he can play at right back position, he can play at center back position. A lot of things can happen with rotation and everything, but with his fitness, being assessed right now, I don't believe that he's a good pick. So I'm putting him above Doughty, but yeah, he is not the best player to invest right now for the upcoming game week. Next up is Trent. Trent is a pretty interesting case. If you own him, you have to believe that he's going to play at least one of the fixtures. If Klopp says that he's going to be out for 2-3 weeks, he's an immediate transfer out because he's worth so much money and he's not getting the returns when he's injured. And next week he's having a double in 25, but after that in 26 it's blank. So as a transfer target, I wouldn't go for Trent for sure. That's why I'm putting him around here, as he is not at the moment a good transfer target with injury problems. If you own him, keep him for now, but do not get him on a transfer. I don't believe it's worth it. I mean, yeah, at the moment 8.2 I believe can be spent well better. You can buy Arsenal players, even City defenders. If you want target a double up, you can do a lot of things with those money. So yeah, I wouldn't go for Trent at the moment. Next up is VVG. You don't know who the partner for VVG is going to be, but you know that VVG is going to be on the field. And if you are looking for only 1 week defender, VVG from Liverpool, VVG is your guy. He is going to be playing every goddamn minute, and I believe that he is going to be pretty solid. I don't see me buying a Liverpool defender with fixtures against Brentford and Luton. They can keep the clean sheet, but it's going to be a hard thing to replace them next week, and taking a hit for defender, it's almost never worth it. I believe that sometimes it's even better to not play a defender with the scores that they're getting 0, 1, 2 and etc. Yeah, if you get a good defender, he can give you a lot of points like Trippier is doing, Saliba, Gabriel, but VVG can get you those points. But I do not see Liverpool keeping 2 clean sheets, and that can be an issue. Still, I'm going to put him at end of A position, as he is the best Liverpool defender to go for right now, but I wouldn't go there. If I'm buying a defender with a double up, it's going to be Manchester City for sure. Next up, we have a pretty interesting player. It's Ivan Toney. I believe Ivan Toney is the talismanic player for Brentford. He just scored a goal against Wolves and he is in good form. He has a double up. Yeah, it's Liverpool and City, but he can cause damage against anyone. So I wouldn't worry if I were you for the things that he is going to do. Basically, yeah, I like Ivan Toney, I like his output, I like that he's having a fixture in Gameweek 26 and it's a good fixture, so he gets a pretty high place here in A section. If you're looking for a forward that's playing for now up until Gameweek 25 or even after that, 29 sorry, and with a double up, Ivan Toney is your guy. He's not going to miss a minute, so yeah, he's going to be amazing. Next up, it's the last player of the tier list. It wasn't intentional, but Salah is the last player that we're going to discuss. Mohamed Salah, yeah, he is supposed to be returning pretty soon, but my belief is that he's going to be rested up until the Carabao Cup final, maybe given some minutes against Luton during midweek if he's fine, but he is on a no-go transfer for me. He's first expensive. If you have that kind of money, you can go for KDB and he's going to get you a lot of points. Salah, you're not going to captain him, let's be honest with the things that you have in mind, so I wouldn't get him. So much of a price tag, so high of a attacking potential, but his minutes are going to be managed. So for me, he is down here. He is even below Alvarez. I know that you say that I'm stupid for putting Salah in this section, but in my opinion, we have to be harsh with ourselves at this time of the season. And for me, if you're going for a premium, KDB and Haaland must be your top priorities. Manchester City players should be your top priorities if you're looking for specifically a double up. Not only because they have a fixture in Gameweek 26 after that, and you wouldn't worry of if they're playing, but you get a 2 home fixture run, and they're amazing at the minute. They're looking like the best team in the league once again. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing for sure. I hope you enjoyed that tier list of Gameweek 5 transfer targets for the double up. If you believe that I'm missing someone and you want to assess him, please write down a comment. If you have any question, again, write a comment, subscribe to the channel, like the video, all of those good stuff. But for now, guys, I'll be heading out. Bye.